You are now listening to Soul Power to the People podcast with Tess Fregera. Welcome to day 2 of our 12 Days of Christmas series here on the Soul Power to the People podcast. My name is Tess Fregera, and if you're just joining in, we kicked off this season 4 with a powerful message about awakening to your God given gifts. You can catch up on that episode, the video, and even some helpful resources by heading to the articles section of my website, soulpoweredleaders.com. So, as leaders and business owners and change makers, we want to show up authentically. We want to make clear decisions and lead with ease, free from the overwhelming worry and distraction of what's coming next. But let's be real. We're often overwhelmed by the constant pressure to plan for the future. And this causes stress, worry, and exhaustion, making it difficult to stay grounded in the present moment. And that's why our topic for today, day 2 of 12 Days of Christmas, is the power of presence. Being fully present in the moment instead of getting lost in future worries or distractions is essential for leadership. It's about grounding yourself in what is happening right now, allowing you to lead with clarity, make better decisions, create meaningful connections, and piggybacking on what we talked about yesterday, embracing your divine gifts. We all know we have unique God given gifts, but if we're not present to them, they're hidden. It's not that they're lost, it's just we don't access them or fully recognize them. Instead of being present to our gifts and utilizing them to show up authentically, we get sidetracked by everyday challenges at home, in the office, in the bedroom, or in the boardroom. So, my hope for us today is to activate the power of presence in a way that unlocks our divine gifts. So, in my work with my clients, especially business owners, professionals, change makers, it's easy to get pulled in a million directions. One of my clients, a highly successful CEO, came to me in tears, burnt out and disconnected. He was always caught up in what's next. And she couldn't keep up with the emotional demands of her relationship and feeling she was always falling short of the expectation or she's doing something wrong, either in her business or at home. We worked on her being more present in her leadership, and she found that her team responded better, her decisions were clearer and stronger, and she was more firm in her boundaries. And she rediscovered joy in her work. And she also started to see how presence in her personal life was the key to unlocking her intimacy and authenticity. And that's what we're trained for, right? We're told to think ahead, always stay on top of things, meet deadlines, be in the hustle of it all. All the while, we are stressing about the future, juggling demands on our time, energy, and resources, and we forget the simple, powerful act of being fully present in the now. So, how can we show up as soul powered leaders if we're constantly consumed with what's next or if we're always stuck in the worries of tomorrow? Have you heard this expression, when you're in your head, you're dead? I first heard this from Tony Robbins at his live events over 11 years ago, and he's absolutely right. When we spend too much time in our heads, worrying, doubting, it leads to stress and burnout. And I'm trying not to get ahead of myself here, but what we're talking about here is my own antidote to stress and burnout. So the corporate culture teaches us to always push, 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 to think ahead and to anticipate. But this mindset is not always aligned, and actually it's really difficult to align with soul-powered leadership. The truth is, when we focus on being present, we can make better decisions, experience more peace, and access God's guidance in every moment. And I've been there as an accountant. The going concern principle, the generally accepted accounting principle of going concern, it had me constantly thinking about worst case scenario, which was helpful at times, but also paralyzing in others. For example, as a single mom, I often found myself caught in overthinking and worry. And so the power of presence is essential because when we're not present, we deplete our energy and lose the strength to handle anything else. It's a negative cycle. We spin into negativity. It clouds your judgment. It leads to burnout, health issues, bad decisions, more stress, more health problems, more conflicts in your personal and business relationships. So, mental energy is powerful. It can either fuel or drain you. And if we are not mindful, it can kill our desire for life. And so, presence is the ability to stay grounded in the here and now. And it is what anchors us. It helps us lead with clarity. It helps us show up as our true self. And it's the foundation of soul powered leadership. And it's what allows us to make a true impact in our business, in our lives, and the lives of others. Matthew 6, verse 34. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So just breathe that in. And as you breathe, give your mind permission not to worry, just for right now, just for this moment. So take a breath in, breathe in gratitude, and when you breathe out, anything that's weighing you down or causing you to overthink, just let it go. Let the pressure fall away. So breathe in ease and breathe out the stress. You will be able to deal with tomorrow's concern at another time, but for right now, actively choose to activate the power of presence. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Matthew 6:34. So as you breathe that in, ask yourself, how might Matthew 6, verse 34 help you in your business and step into soul powered leadership? Why do we not need to worry about tomorrow? What is the benefit of getting into the habit of releasing the weight of tomorrow's concerns? Why? Because worry is a thief. When we're caught in worry about the future, we are robbing ourselves of the gift of today, the gift of being fully present, the gift of the present moment. But Tess, you might say, what if I don't make payroll next week? What about my employees? What about my children? And I get it. I've been there. In 1997, my marriage fell apart, had no family, no friends, no job in a new country, and suddenly I was a single mom. Okay, so I get it. At the time, I was deportable and broke without a job. So I really get it. I know what it feels like to be in a panic mode. As a business coach, I see this panic in my clients. They struggle with all kinds of stress, no money in the bank, credit lines maxed out, or mental health not the best, or threat of divorce if nothing changes. So the pressure can make it feel like a panic, and that panic is the only option. But here's what I learned. Worry is a thief. It robs you of your ability to see the opportunities that are right in front of you. When we are stuck in worry, we miss divine provision. The divine provision that's always right there, people, ideas, moments of grace, the resources and opportunities that are right there for the taking. And if we're too focused on the future, we miss what's available right now. And if we're too focused on the past too, same thing. We miss what's available right now. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. So when we think of leadership, we often think of big decisions, strategy, vision boards, visioning, and a change in business strategy really tripped me up this year. And darn it, I felt that nothing I did worked out. I didn't mind the hard work, but when I didn't see results, immediate results, oh man, the more I pushed into obsessive mode. When we face uncertainty, when we're stepping into something new, when we up level, when we go up the another threshold, the mind starts to overwhelm us. It starts overthinking. We overthink mentally, we push physically, we drain emotionally, and we disconnect spiritually. So we compartmentalize, we fragment instead of being whole as a being. And so in those moments of stress, I realized how much I'd been trying to control things on my own when what I really needed to do was invite God in. It's not like I was believing in God. It's just I'm trying to do things on my own, if you get my drift. So, what I did is I went back and took a refresher of Power versus Force, a book by David Hawking, which I highly recommend. Please check it out. It's phenomenal. I also went back to Father Thomas Keating's teaching on silence and stillness and centering prayer. And centering prayer is kind of like Eastern practice of transcendental meditation. It's the same with subtle differences, and I've tried both. So when the Catholic, this is a story for another day, when the Catholic Church forced me to transcend religion, the church organization, um, it was Father Keating's teachings. I found comfort in his teachings, that there's greater power available to us in every moment, in that stillness, not force, do we reconnect with our deepest truths. And side story, before it was Soul Powered Leaders, my business was named after Father Thomas Kidding's book, Open Heart, Open Mind, and I called uh, Soul Powered Leaders was back then Open Heart Mind Coaching. And now it's Soul Powered Leaders because once you open your heart and mind, you're ready to step into soul powered leadership. And that's where the magic happens. When we take ownership and leadership, when you step into what is truly fulfilling for you. And like I said, this was the antidote to my depression and burnout, to fulfill what I was here to bring forth, to bring into fruition, to express and to experience, right? Our soul power, the light of God, right here in the physical. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Matthew 6:34. So that is precisely why I'm doing this 12 Days of Christmas series because the season is about reflecting on the awakening of the Christ within, right? Jesus taught us the truth, the way, and the life. Christ, though, he was never in a rush. He didn't rush through life or check off tasks. He was always present, meeting people where they were, listening deeply, and serving, healing wholeheartedly. And so I often wonder, what could we lead like Jesus? What if we could lead like Jesus? What does that look like? Can we truly succeed if we modeled the truth, the way, and the life? And that's Christ consciousness. Can we do it? Because his patience, trust, and compassion, as humans, it's quite challenging, but he showed us the way, the truth, and the life. So, how can we lead like Jesus without worrying, without rushing, without stepping on others' toes, or worried about payroll and bills, being fully present in each moment? I believe that's the key because in that space, God's will can and will unfold. And when we choose to be present, we invite God's presence into every decision, every challenge, every interaction. And this is true service to those we lead and those we love. This is the power of soul powered leadership. I wonder if it has ever happened to you where someone in your life, your spouse, your business partner, someone you trust or care about deeply, is always distracted, not listening, or you feel disconnected because they're emotionally unavailable, right? As a child of an alcoholic, I felt one of my parents was emotionally unavailable. They just can't be present to what you need from them. And I can tell you that's the story of my life, and it sucks. I recently had coffee with someone whose parents actually told her that they didn't want her. And all her life she surrounded herself with people to take care of, to please, to feel the whole, with validation that she never got growing up. And so similarly, I could resonate with her story because I grew up feeling that I didn't belong, that no one cared to listen or get to know me, and they just want what they wanted and needed from me, but my needs didn't matter. And see why I am a good listener, see why I am a coach, and why people open up to me with their deepest secrets and vulnerabilities, because I never had it. And I know the pain, and I know how to create safe space for my clients. And I really understand the importance of presence because of the lack of it in my whole life. Presence, connection, heart to heart, soul to soul, that's what we're truly seeking. But too often we look for it in the wrong places. When it's unmet, it turns into addiction. When it's unmet, this need, this thirst for presence turns into a dysfunction, an addiction, um, a sense of working hard, yet feeling empty or lonely or broken inside and never enough, no matter how hard one works. And so, as leaders and change makers, we have the opportunity to acknowledge this deep need within ourselves and others. When we embrace our own soul's need to express itself, we are better equipped to show up for others for the right reason and with the right intention, offering true presence and support. So, leadership is about meeting people where they are, not where we wish they'd be. And that includes ourselves. It includes us. Like, it's the first thing that we need to accept is us. not judge ourselves. Because when we don't accept ourselves, how can we accept others? How can we meet the people we serve where they're at? So just consider this. If we accepted ourselves fully, deeply, wholly, where do you think worry would be? What would happen to worry? Will you be worrying about what others think? If you fully accept yourself and not judge yourself and be fully present with yourself, both the weakness and the strength, both the shadow and the light, will you doubt your faith in yourself and in God to turn things around? Where might worry be if we accepted ourselves fully? So just think about that. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. So being present is an act of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in God, not get into assumptions or excuses and justifications and over rationalization of what we think should happen in the future. And as I mentioned earlier, there were countless times this year when things didn't go as planned. Oh my God, the pain of perceived failure. And I felt like giving up, but I kept going. I even saw a funny video. I shared it to my mastermind group. It's about this kid dancing through tears. Uh, he was unhappy, he was miserable, and yet he was going through the motions and dancing while crying at the same time. And I'm going to share that video in the links in the show notes. I really resonated with that video. That kid was just like how I was feeling. But despite the frustration, despite the tears, that's how faith kicks in, right? Dancing through tears and trusting in God's timing. Or, it's muscle memory. You do it often enough, you just do it. But here's the thing, right? If you find yourself on the edge of exhaustion with fear and doubt constantly knocking at your door, or worse, if they've taken up residence in your mind, and that moment can be very, very overwhelming. And in those moments is when we need to remember to pull back, pause, reflect, like what we're doing here. And that's exactly what I did, and it helped me immensely. So instead of journaling, well, I still actually do that. I have a gratitude journal and a vomit journal, I call it. um, but I also found myself starting a new habit of having daily conversations with God. It's the first thing I do, first thing in the morning. Because I really got tired and exhausted of trying to figure out everything on my own. And in those moments of stillness and conversations with God, I felt Him guiding me. I felt and received the answers almost instantaneously. And I felt lighter. I felt supported. Most importantly, I was reminded that I'm never truly alone in this journey and that I have a partner in God. When we are fully present with God, we can see, we can feel, we can witness His works and presence in each moment. And so when we trust fully in the present moment, we surrender the need to control the future. But let me be crystal clear. Being present doesn't mean being passive. Surrendering doesn't mean we abdicate power or stop taking ownership or cease taking action. It means trusting that God is guiding us, empowering us to make decisions that will unfold His purpose, His presence in our lives. So let me repeat, being present is active, it's not passive. Being present doesn't mean waiting around, not doing anything. Um, Being present means moving, taking action with intention and alignment. Very deliberate intention. It's about stepping forward with faith, knowing that every action taken from a place of trust is part of God's plan for us. So let me close and wrap it up. But as I do, let's let's just take a breath and breathe in the present moment. Get a deep breath in and feel the weight of worry just lift, even if it's just for a moment. And practice leaning into surrender. How does surrender feel like? And take a moment just to tune in, scan your body. How does your body feel? Are your shoulders tense? Is your mind racing ahead? So just notice without judgment, no judgment. Just take notice. Breathe in the present moment, letting go of any concerns about the future, letting go of any mistakes, perceived failure about the past. And how can the power of presence change your life and change the course of your leadership today? So as you move through today and into tomorrow, just remain present into the leadership you were meant to embody, authentic, grounded, deeply connected, heart to heart, soul to soul. We are soul powered leaders, and being present is one of the greatest gifts we can offer ourselves, our partners, our family, our businesses, our health, the people we serve, showing up fully right here, right now, with God's presence as our partner and guide in each step. So, in the next 24 hours, find one moment where you can intentionally stop and be fully present. And whether it's a conversation with someone, in a quiet moment alone, or while engaged in washing dishes, just being present with the flow of water in your own hands. Practice being present. I've also shared a deeper dive on the power of presence, along with an action step and resources to help you implement this in your leadership. And go to my website and you're able to access them. So, tomorrow we'll be diving into the power of trust. And thank you for taking the time to join me today for day 2. And tomorrow will be day 3 of 12 Days of Christmas. And I hope you join me then too. Until then, take a moment to breathe in God's presence. Take notice of God's presence. Be present with your own presence. And remember, you don't need to be alone. See you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Soul Power to the People podcast with Tess Vergara. We can no longer be the spectators of our own destruction. Take back your mind, take back your voice, take back your soul, take back your power. Join me again next time for the next episode of Soul Power to the People.